Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the
Hello.
Potterverse. We are just so excited to have you here tonight. So, first things first, let's get a little bit of introductions between us and you. If you can comment below if you're joining us live on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, or Instagram, please comment below where you're tuning in from, your house. Extra fun. House points are awarded when you use the color coordinated hearts or emojis for your house. And what should the fun question be today?
That's a good question.
What bit of high school or middle school history do you remember most from your history class?
Like the subject matter?
Yeah, the subject matter from history.
So middle school or high school?
Yes.
Which one?
Either. Well, let's do middle school.
Right,
I mean,
middle
I
school.
don't think I remember anything from
I do.
that.
I remember
Middle
one
school or
specific
high
thing.
school. Okay, so that's the fun fact that you get to put below. Where you're from, your house, complete with emojis if you want to, and then something that you remember from middle or high school history class.
As always, do share this podcast that's coming up on your wall or on your story. Thank you very much for being a part of what we're doing here. And so when you're sharing it, please use the hashtag or just the phrase Expecto Patronum. We will
In the comments
in the
here.
comments below.
Yeah.
And then when you share it, if my mouse would come back to me, where are we here? Okay, good.
Middle school is like 5th through 8th grade, and
Yes.
high school is 9th through 12th grade.
So thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, everybody who is sharing this for the world to see. As always, podcasts are best consumed and best proliferated via word of mouth. If you are listening to us and you're watching us and you happen to share this and you tell a friend, more than likely they're going to listen to it too, and we can help grow the Potterverse community to the best that it
And
can
remember,
possibly be.
if you're on Facebook, you can share this directly to your wall by hitting the arrow button, or you could even share it to your stories, or both. I just shared it to our stories.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, look at you, big time.
I'm fancy. All right, so you want to make a podcast?
I think we shall. Let's do it.
Awesome sauce.
All right, let's get it done. 10 seconds for.
Room tone.
All right, let's do it.
Hello there, Nerd Clan members. We wanted to welcome you officially to the Potterverse. But before we do, we want to thank those of you who are members at jointhenerdclan.com. You see, jointhenerdclan.com is where people become patrons of Mary and Blake Media. And if this episode or this podcast, the Potterverse, is bringing some Lumos in your time of Nox, please feel free to join. It's for as little as $2 a month. You get all sorts of extra special things there, bonus podcasts, fun swag, fun Q&As, and we're also going to be restarting our Crown podcast when the 4th season of The Crown starts up. So this episode right now is brought to you by jointhenerdclan.com members. Thank you all so much for your patronage, and thank you for others who are going to give us your support tonight. From Providence, Rhode Island, welcome to the Potterverse. It's a podcast dedicated to the book and film universe of Harry Potter. So grab your favorite wands and your time turners, and let's step into that into the night to pursue that flighty temptress adventure. Hello, everybody. My name's Mary Larson.
My name's Blake, and I love the fact that we record this intro every single time.
Yeah.
Every time, no matter what we do, we record it. And I think that's great because it gives us that many more times for Mary to flub it.
Oh my goodness. Well, you had this whole different intro written for me, and it really, really threw me off. I'm not going to lie.
Well, it is on the Google document, and you are... Who are you?
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I read what is written.
You read what is written on the prompter.
I do. All right. So, of course, we're going to be delving into Chapter 9, the writing on the wall tonight in Harry Potter.
People are saying, get it together, Mary.
Let me have another sip of my tea.
Oh, man, that's good stuff.
Writing on the wall. quite a jam-packed chapter, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, lots of stuff happening.
We're all over the place.
Yes.
All over the place, all over the castle. So much time passes through this, and I love it. And the bit that I wanted to read from you today is... But Professor, piped up Pavarti Patil, you'd probably have to use dark magic to open it. Just because a wizard doesn't use dark magic doesn't mean he can't, Miss Pennyfeather, snapped Professor Binns. I repeat, if the likes of Dumbledore... But maybe you've got to be related to Slytherin, so Dumbledore couldn't, began Dean Thomas, but Professor Binns had had enough. That will do, he said sharply. It's a myth. It does not exist. There is not a shred of evidence that Slytherin ever built so much as a secret broom cupboard. I regret telling you such a foolish story. We will return, if you please, to history, to solid, believable, verifiable fact. And within 5 minutes, the class had sunk back into its usual torpor.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I feel like Binns would be boring as hell, but I think I'd be in on that class.
Yeah, that would be my nap. That'd be my third nap of the day.
Absolutely.
Fun question for our friends joining us live. Did you used to nap in class? I did, at least in 2 classes.
Oh, I used to nap in freshman philosophy in college. I made a very poor choice and took freshman philosophy at 8 in the morning. And I thought I was smart because I was like, oh, dude, I'll bang this out. We'll get it done. Oh, no way. And I even sat in the front row right in front of the professor, which is, dude, I back row every single class because I didn't want to get noticed. But I sat in the front row for philosophy thinking, oh, yeah, well, that'll keep me awake, right? Wrong.
Shame.
You could see in my notes where I fell asleep, like the pen would drift off.
And that's what it was like in Professor Binns' class until Hermione Granger asked a very specific question. Well, before we get into the writing on the wall, we would love to remind you that if you enjoy our podcast, we would love for you to hit subscribe in your podcatcher of choice. Those of you who are already subscribed to us, we would truly, truly appreciate it if you took a moment of your time and wrote us a written review in your podcast app of choice. 5 stars is what we're looking for, but also some little paragraph or a couple sentences about what you dig about the show. The more you do this, the more people will actually be able to find the podcast. And as people are looking for things to bring them, as I said, a little Lumos in this time of Nox in 2020, we would love for them to be able to find the Potterverse. So in addition to everything else, we would love for you to check out maryandblake.com. And we want to, of course, thank again all of our friends at jointhenerdclan.com. Let's get into the show.
I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good.
Sorry. I was
in the Google Doc in big black bold.
I was preemptive. It was a preemptive. I thought you were done. I'm sorry. I messed it up.
Words for me to read.
Oh, man. That's funny. All right, Marvin. What stands out to you in this chapter?
Okay, so Mrs. Norris isn't dead. She's just petrified, and all the teachers get together, and after a little poking and prodding, that's what they come to. But dinna fash, because there is going to be hope with Professor Sprout at some point because of her wonderful mandrakes. Professor Binns teaches history, boring as heck, but the students ask him about the Chamber of Secrets, and then they decide to go talk to Moaning Myrtle, who is right outside the scene of the crime.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
The end.
So we have 3 major bits that happen here.
Yep.
And it's just such a fun book to read a millionth time or as an adult, because I don't know about you, if something like this had happened to me, I would not be able to focus. You think about all the drama and the little things that went on in your life when you were younger, but like if you just walked in and found a wall of blood with a pretty much dead cat on it, don't you think they would just send you the school therapist nowadays and be like, you can take the day off?
Yeah, I feel like you should just take a minute.
Why don't you take a week?
Just, watch some Netflix.
Yeah.
Just chill out.
Have a journal.
Maybe do some Glee.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in on some Glee. We'll watch some Glee.
I'm in on it until it gets sad.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
But of course, time goes by from just a little time goes by in the beginning of this chapter because we're chilling with Mrs. Norris, right?
That's right.
I'm not on the right chapter. That would help. I'm like, this says Death Day. What I love about here is, Filch goes off on Harry because, of course, Harry just got in trouble for tracking in mud, and Filch automatically thinks it's his fault. Plus, he's caught at the scene of the crime. And all of these people come running to him. and someone stands up for him. Snape.
Well,
Says he could have just been in the wrong place at the wrong time.
yes.
Because everyone's looking and they're like, yeah, we doubt Harry and Ron and Hermione would have done this. But nobody else was there. It is kind of fishy. And Snape is the one that brings this point up, which I just found to be so interesting.
Yes, you're right. But Snape is also very quick to say that Harry has to get off the Quidditch team. And he suggests to Dumbledore, of course, that he do that, which is kind of circumventing Professor McGonagall.
I would disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Well, I mean, in each case that we've seen so far in all of this text, it's McGonagall who is the one who hands out the punishments for her students.
See, I think Snape might be trying to protect Harry by keeping him off the Quidditch field. Weird stuff has been happening to Harry Potter in the second year. So Snape knew that he needed to protect Harry last year, and that weird stuff happened. Harry couldn't get into Hogwarts, and Snape was trying to use a little legitimens to read his brain a little bit, or so Harry thought. Cool reference. I do think that Dumbledore tries that on Harry in this chapter as he's staring at him and trying to look deep within. I think that he's trying to figure out the truth as well. But think about it. Last Quidditch year, Harry almost died because of the broom being crazy. Now weird things are happening to Harry as he tries to arrive at Hogwarts. And now the Chamber of Secrets may be open with blood written on the wall. Snape's job is to protect Harry Potter. Does he really want him playing Quidditch when that was an open field place where anyone could attack him, and he's going to get attacked?
That is certainly a salient point. I'm going to say that you might be right on this one, Marvin.
Hey.
Actually, I think that's a decent theory.
Thank you.
That's a pretty decent theory. I like it.
Because Snape knows he didn't do it. Snape can look in his eyes and be like, "No, Harry didn't do it. This stuff's weird. Let's get this kid out of here."
Yes. Another great thing that I love about this also goes back to Gilderoy Lockhart. It was awesome how he's like, "Oh yeah, I can make that potion for you. There's no problem." And then Snape just buries him, bodies him into the center of the earth when he's like, "No, I am the potions teacher at this school. I will handle it. Thank you so much." And but Lockhart's line, "It was definitely a curse that killed her. Probably the transmogrifian torture. I've seen it used many times. So unlucky I wasn't there. I know the very counter curse that would have saved her."
Goodness gracious. And then Dumbledore's like, "Actually, she's not dead."
Yeah.
Take a step back.
Why don't you chill out?
Did you love how when they entered Lockhart's room, the portraits of him hustled away because they didn't want to show their curlers in their hair?
Right. And that to me brings up a great question about the sentient nature of these photographs, right?
Or paintings.
Right? Photographs, paintings, whatever.
Yeah.
We're talking the same thing. Are they independent of Lockhart or or are they independent of the person that about whom they captured their essence?
I think they are the person who they captured their essence, and they'll just do what that person would do. So around this time of night, Lockhart usually fluffs and preens.
Yeah, but they still operate independently, right? I
think of it as like a VHS play, a VHS tape, and you can rewind it and stop it in different spots. If you had two different TVs with the same VHS,
sure,
it'd still be the same movie. But you could play it and pause it at different parts. Still the same movie. It's still the same Lockhart.
Yeah.
It's just, different things, different times, different outfits, different portraits, different moods he was in. But every night he does preen his hair.
Yep. Okay, fair enough.
So here is what I was talking about. So Snape, he's wondering why the kids didn't go and get food. Why didn't you go to the feast afterwards? And I love how it says his black eyes glittering in the candlelight. I always pay attention to the eyes because you need that for the mind reading stuff. And he says, "You didn't go without any supper. I don't think ghosts provided food fit for living people at their parties." And I feel like Snape knows the truth, and he's trying to get Harry to say it. He's trying to get him to say it because he even says, "I don't think they're being truthful, but I think he's able to do it." So I don't know. Let's move
it
on
might
for
be a
Mrs.
good
Norris.
idea if he were deprived of certain privileges until he's
Yes.
ready to tell us the whole story. I personally feel he should be taken off the Gryffindor Quidditch team until he is ready to be honest. And then McGonagall, really, Severus? Really?
Really. We get to talk about squibs, and of course, Ron is the one who was able to kind of just elaborate on the things from the wizarding world that we get to know a little bit more
Yeah,
about.
and another interesting thing happens here with Ron. He kind of puts Squibs down a little bit. Like his attitude towards Squibs is, pardon the phrase, I don't mean to rhyme, but he's glib almost. He just seems like he's.
How do you think he's glib?
Where is it? I gotta find it in the book here.
I don't know. I didn't take it that way.
I can't find it in the book.
He stifled a snigger.
Yeah, like Squibs, like he's laughing at it. Like that to me doesn't. It doesn't seem respectful of the way that a Gryffindor would be respectful.
Well, he ends up saying, so Harry says, what on earth's a squib? To his surprise, Ron stifled a snigger. Well, it's not really funny, but as it's Filch. A squib is someone who is born into a wizarding family but hasn't gotten any magic powers. Kind of the opposite of muggle-born wizards, but squibs are quite unusual. It's quite unusual to be loved by anyone.
Thanks, Tom Jones.
If Filch is trying to learn magic from a quick spell course, I reckon he must be a squib. It would explain a lot, like why he hates students so much. Ron gave a satisfied smile. He's bitter. So I can see a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that Ron's leaning into it because it's Filch, because Filch has treated them so poorly that it's like, all right, well, you know what? At least he doesn't have magic.
Right.
And this explains it. He's just bitter of me,
well,
you know?
Yeah, the reason why I bring it up, I think, is because, and I didn't talk about this last chapter because I skipped over it in my notes, unfortunately. But it just seems like Ron in this book so far, well, at least in these past few chapters, is acting a little different. And this one in particular, this suggestion of Filch and Squibs, but also in particular, when they discovered the Chamber of Secrets is open last chapter, and the blood's there, nobody has seen it yet. They hadn't even seen the cat yet. Ron says, "Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here before anybody sees us."
Mm-hmm.
That to me also doesn't feel like the kind of character that Ron is, and it doesn't feel like that's the kind of character that would be upheld by the trio at all.
I think running away from all the blood would be very Ron. I still do. I mean, number one, he does not want to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
He was just told by a howler that if he puts one toe out of line, he's going to be pulled out of school. And his brother is a prefect who just loves to get after him left and right.
Sure.
So I think Ron is on high alert of like, let's not mess up, please. Because I can't afford to leave this school.
Yes. That makes sense. But I do feel like Gryffindor, like Harry runs toward the voice. And Hermione is right there with no abandon.
Yeah.
And Ron is the one that is saying this, and then he follows it up with this kind of interpretation of Squibs. And I just feel like, is the author doing Ron a little dirty?
I'll tell you this. Ron is not a Hufflepuff. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be perfect when it comes to these kind of interactions and kumbaya with everybody.
Brittany on Facebook asks, why do the kids never put any trust in the adults? Mary, why do you think so?
It makes sense that Harry doesn't trust adults, as all the adults that he was raised by and got to know treated him terribly. So I think that sets the scene for him. I think Hermione does trust the adults to some sort.
Yep.
You know, she's slowly losing that trust. And I think with Ron, you know, I think Ron just kind of likes to be a bad boy right now, and he's put all of his trust in Harry. And Harry's
Sure.
kind of led him down the road of like, my adults in my life stink, and some adult killed my parents, and some other adult who was my teacher last year also tried to kill me. So I don't know, man.
And the other thing, too, I think that it occurs in YA novels or even films, and even dating back to, let's call it Stand By Me, the film, or the book, or even The Goonies, right? Kids just don't trust adults and the authority figure, because that's what that kind of story demands.
Well, also, I mean, let's be real. Adults don't listen to kids enough. especially
Sure.
at this age. You know, that was one of the things that I really worked hard at doing when I was a middle school teacher, was trying to listen to these individuals a bit more from a mature standpoint. You know, like they have valid opinions. They are very observant. Yes, there's going to be some things that they don't know a lot about, but you think about things, gosh, even when we were growing up, that we knew, like, you know, there were a lot of people in our generation who, when we grew up, our parents were very, very homophobic. Maybe there were situations where people may make jokes or feel uncomfortable about an interracial couple. And I know that a lot of people in our generation really spoke up to our parents about those kind of
Absolutely.
things. And, you know, we knew people were wrong, but we weren't necessarily being listened to because they were older than us. So I don't know. I think that a lot of times youth know, like Hermione does here, and like Harry knows something is wrong and can't trust these people. I think sometimes they know that what they feel and what they believe may be actually a lot more true than the adults give them credit for.
Yeah, and not only that. So let's just say someone here commented. I can't see the name right now, but someone here commented. Well, why doesn't Harry just trust Dumbledore? Like you'd think that he would. It's Brittany. Brittany says this. She's bringing all the hot comments today. Good job, Brittany. Yeah, maybe he could trust Dumbledore, but again, I don't think. I mean, within universe, I don't think they have that kind of relationship yet.
I agree.
But story-wise, okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, Harry does trust Dumbledore. Now, the story's over, essentially. It's a sort of narrativium that has to happen. The students have to take it upon themselves to figure this thing out. Because if they don't, the story ends, essentially. So it's that kind of adventure that kids go on where they're like, yeah, we're going to go, like in Stand By Me's case. You want to go see a dead body? Yep.
Well, I think, too, they've been very discouraged when they've come to professors to say that something was wrong or to say their opinion. You know, frequently McGonagall shoos them away, you know, like, oh, that's not true, or don't worry about it. What do you mean you know about the Sorcerer's Stone? Don't worry about that kind of thing. So I think they just realized after last year that they need to take things into their own hands.
Tammy here says on Facebook, Ron seems to have a wizard's prejudice. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with Slight. Yes.
Yeah, I think I would too.
I think that Hermione opens his mind about a lot of things.
Ginny. Another clue that Ginny doesn't seem to be 100%.
Poor Ginny.
Ginny Weasley seemed very disturbed by Mrs. Norris's fate. According to Ron, she was a great cat lover.
I mean, let's be real. If you knew that a cat was petrified and you loved cats, that in and of itself would drag you down.
But you hadn't really got to know Mrs. Norris, Ron told her bracingly. Honestly, we're much better off without her. Ginny's lip trembled.
Once again, Ron is not a Hufflepuff.
No, definitely not. Ginny's lip trembled. Stuff like this doesn't often happen at Hogwarts, Ron assured her. They'll catch the nutter who did it and have him out of here in no time. I just hope he's got time to petrify Filch before he's expelled.
I have the American version. It says they'll catch the maniac who did it. And yours says they'll catch the nutter.
Yeah. It's just another little bit of insight here about, yes, she's a cat lover, but for her lip to be trembling and Ron having to take care of her the way that he is, it just, again, with that foresight, it's just another little breadcrumb that the author puts in here.
Because what's going through her mind? Is she cognizant of what she did? Is she cognizant that this relates to her somehow?
Yeah, I think there's a honestly, I think there is. I think it's her, much kind of in the same way with Quirrell in book one, where yes, Voldemort was on the back of his head, and yes, Voldemort was taking control of him, especially towards the end, but there was a little bit of Quirrell still fighting back. And I still think in this particular case, there is a little bit of Ginny still there who subconsciously recognizes, I think I might have done this. And I don't want to say anything because that's crazy talk.
Well, you know who thinks everybody's crazy? What? Justin Fletchley.
Yep.
Finch Fletchley. There we go.
Out.
He's so out on Harry Potter.
Out.
Peace.
So out. And I'm out on Justin JFF.
Listen, what a fickle fan, okay? fickle fan. And then we, of course, head on over to the History of Magic with the ghost Professor Binns, which This was merged into Professor McGonagall in the movie when Hermione gets to ask about the secret of the Chamber of Secrets. And Professor Binns poo-poos it as long as he possibly can. But what I love about this is you get to see a lot of the class pipe in.
Sure.
Frequently we are so focused on the trio that, you know, it's nice to see the other classmates share their personality. Because remember, there's only 10 second-year Gryffindors.
Right.
You know, so they are all close. And obviously they all are pretty concerned and don't know what the Chamber of Secrets is. So I just love that they're all kind of pitching it a little bit. And we don't really learn too awfully much except that the founders of the house built this castle. Salazar Slytherin was at odds because he wanted to make sure that everyone was wizard born.
Right.
He often fought actually with Godric Gryffindor, and eventually he ended up leaving after creating this Chamber of Secrets, so that one day when his heir returned, the chamber could be open and this monster could come and kill all of the non-wizard family.
Now,
born.
a lot of you have always asked me about exposition and how much either it can be really good or it can be really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's always about the idea of one person informing another person
Yes.
about something that either the audience doesn't know or the other character doesn't know. If two characters already know something and they're like, oh, hey, do you remember that time? Yeah, I remember that time, blah, blah, blah. It's boring.
Yes.
But in this particular case, it's very interesting because you are essentially sitting next to Hermione as she's manipulating Binns, saying, hey, can you tell me about the Chamber of Secrets and yada, yada? And this is an excellent opportunity for Binns, who is the holder of knowledge, to give us backstory in exposition in a very interesting way to not only learn about the Chamber of Secrets, but the history of Hogwarts and what makes the traits of all of the founding members of the who founded Hogwarts. What he also comments on too is Hogwarts was created around a time 1,000 years ago when magic was feared. And they wanted to go, like the founders wanted to go to a place that was safe. They wanted to be somewhere where they could do magic and do all that. I think the timeline makes sense. That would put it around the late 900s at that point. But it does ask, or it does beg you to ask the question, was there a point in time where magic and humans, like wizards and humans and witches, they all lived together and happily? Or was it more of magic was discovered at that point and then people were afraid of it?
I think magic was always there. I think Grant and Merlin would have been less than 1,000 years ago. But you know what I mean? I feel like magicians kind of like hung out with the humans until they couldn't anymore.
Yeah, well...
magicians, wizards, witches, sorry. But you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Magic.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, Merlin... I mean, all right, let's just say for the sake of argument that Merlin was real. Okay, in this universe, Merlin's real.
Okay, in the Potterverse.
In the Potterverse, Merlin is real. Okay, King Arthur, thereby, is real. If you're going to suggest that, then, and again, you kind of have to...
It's getting loopy in your brain, huh?
Yeah, you kind of have to go back and forth, because if you're accepting the most commonly held theory about King Arthur is that he lived, toward the end of the Roman Empire.
You're getting real deep, man. That's why I said time. Stats are for nerds.
You know what? You're right. Stats are for nerds.
Okay, can we get back to Potter?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. My brain just hurt. So the trio goes to go investigate. And they find some water, and they see some spiders hiding away from the... So this is where Ron, of course, divulges his worst fear, which is the same fear as Blake.
No! God, please, no!
Spiders.
No!
Nope.
No!
That's right, Michael.
No!
Nope. Out on spiders.
So these spiders are running away, and there's this little thing of water, and they put two and two together that, what's right nearby? It's the girl's bathroom, and it's Moaning Myrtle's bathroom, the ghost that, just kind of like whines the entire time. And because she's always in there, it's barely ever used. So the trio walks inside the bathroom and meets Moaning Myrtle, who is just really, really down. She's really, really Order of the Phoenix sad.
Oh, yeah. What is your interpretation of how the author writes this?
What was
she's
weird?
saying that she was going to the bathroom to kill herself.
Yeah. So I know we have some little ones who listen to this. And I re-listened to this chapter with my kiddos in the car. And I don't know, I think when I physically read it, I kind of like quickly read that, but to hear it out loud, it was like, oh goodness gracious, this is a kid's book. So once again, in 2020, I doubt that line would have made the cut here.
Yeah, that's true.
It would have been, I was going to put my head in the toilet and give myself, what are those things called? A swirly?
Yep, absolutely.
You know, I'm just going to give myself a swirly. So yeah, I mean, but it sets the stage for just how sad and mopey Myrtle is. And of course, you know, they're trying to ask her about different things and she has no clue what's going on. And Percy Weasley shows up.
Yeah, this is something that happens.
Mood killer.
This is something that happens. This is a great red herring. The same thing that I think a great red herring in this chapter is that the burn marks as well. Burn marks have nothing to do with what is going on in this chapter, but the author puts that in there.
Yep.
So if you're paying attention and you're reading it analytically, you're going to say, okay, what about the burn marks? How are the burn marks? What are the spiders? Like the blood? What about the water? How do we get there? Like, what does Moaning Myrtle have to do with this? And then Percy.
He shows up.
Percy shows up.
Scene of the crime.
At the scene of the crime, but also, why is he there? And if you're reading this analytically, you're thinking, okay, why is he there? Percy is part of a part of a pure blood family.
Yep.
It didn't necessarily say the prophecy that not prophecy, but the history that Professor Binns says, or the kids are delineating, that it had to be a member of Slytherin to do it.
The Slytherin house, correct. Did not say that.
So the author does this great thing where there are a number of people that could be the heir to Slytherin. In fact, it could be Draco.
Yes.
It could be Percy at this point, because Percy it's suspicious why he's there, and all of a sudden he just shows up. And then we have Harry. And it's important that Harry be part of this, because it puts doubt into the rest of the kids at school. And it even puts doubt into Ron and Hermione a little bit when they're like, are you sure you heard what you said? Are you sure? And it casts doubt within Harry as well. Am I really the heir of Slytherin? So all the things that have been built up over the course of these first 8 chapters or 9 chapters or so is being taken away for Harry. The most important thing that Harry has at this school is friendship. And that little shade of doubt, even though the trio are there together and they're helping each other, that little shade of doubt takes away Harry's friendship. It takes away his status at the school. And now it makes him all alone again. What do you think about that?
Oh, I love it. And I think, you know, one of the lines that Professor Burns shared with us that I think can stick and apply to all of these situations, all of these people, all of these projected, like, are you the heir of Slytherin? Is he says, just because a wizard doesn't use dark magic doesn't mean he can't.
Right.
So I love this because there's so many characters who we see and we think are good who actually end up turning out to be bad. And we've already seen that through book 1. We're seeing it slightly now with Gilderoy Lockhart. So as Percy comes in, we are having that, you know, seed planted earlier on in the chapter that just because he hasn't used the bad before doesn't mean he can't. And Harry, just because he hasn't used dark magic doesn't mean that he can't. He knows he has the right to be in Slytherin. He knows that he was probably going to be put in Slytherin if he didn't ask for Gryffindor. Right,
and that knowledge right then and there is what makes him insecure. And it continues to go on the identity crisis that I think Harry is facing throughout this book, whether it is something that he struggles with in his fame with Professor Lockhart, or Snape is constantly getting after him, at least through his perspective, and then dealing with Colin Creevey and your boy JFF, and now even this, questioning his allegiance to Gryffindor and really even questioning his sanity.
Yeah.
That is good. You, as a main character, you have to put them in situations where they're getting tortured. And it doesn't have to be physical or constant physical torture. It can be mental torture. And it doesn't have to be given by anybody else. It can just be through them.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
exactly what is happening. She's breaking him down.
Someone who is being mentally tortured is poor Ginny Weasley. We get to see Percy, who's been trying to take care of her, saying that she's so afraid you're going to get expelled. He said, "That's what I told Ginny, that you never laid a finger on the cat, but she still seems to think you're going to be expelled. I've never seen her so upset, crying her eyes out. You might think of her, all the first years who were thoroughly overexcited by this business." So poor Ginny. Poor Ginny is just having a whole time mess express, and the trio decides, we need to get to the bottom of this. Most likely the heir of Slytherin is in the Slytherin house, and we need to get some Polyjuice potion, which Hermione teaches the boys about. And what's so funny is, of course, this book is in the restricted section.
Right.
And so they need to get back to the restricted section. And as a reader who just finished up book 1, you're like, oh, we can whip out that invisibility cloak that we haven't seen so far. But they decide to take a different route because they could just get a teacher's recommendation.
But, Ron does come out and say, you think any of the teachers are going to be that thick? Like, what are we doing? So that allows us to get to the Polyjuice potion and eventually and the idea of it all. And something that happens here, too, is Hermione...
Do you know how they get the Polyjuice potion? Do you know how they get the book? Because this is different than the movie.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, so read that last line by Ron one more time.
Right. Oh, come on. No teacher's going to fall for that, said Ron. They'd have to be really thick.
Who's really thick? Gilderoy Lockhart.
Oh, that's true. Okay, yep, good point.
So it's...
But I like this, too. There might be a way, said Hermione slowly, dropping her voice still further with a quick glance across the room at Percy. Of course, it would be difficult and dangerous, very dangerous. But we'd be breaking about 50 school rules, I expect.
Oh, what a different girl.
I know. And it goes to show you that theme, too. Harry lied earlier and gets called out for it. And it breaks rules by lying to teachers. Gets called out for it because it wasn't for the greater good. It was him being selfish. Yet in this particular case, the trio are going to lie and break school rules eventually for the greater good.
How do you think Harry was being selfish before?
Because he didn't want to get in trouble and he didn't want to admit to the fact that he was in the area.
I think also, though, there's this great big fear of like, nobody can hear this voice that I can hear. And something has to do with Slytherin. I feel like there's a lot of things going on in Harry's mind. So I don't necessarily think of it as selfish or selfless. I just think it's more about being confused and not truly trusting anybody.
Sure. Caitlin here says, I wonder if the author did that on purpose, where Moaning Myrtle is kind of like this character that people are just like, that's just how she is. But in reality, she is depressed enough to want to kill herself. I wonder if that was the author's way of saying mental health was not talked about enough.
I mean, that would be lovely.
I think
if that was a way to start a conversation.
I think that is pretty indicative of what the author has been trying to do. Not only...
But nobody helps Moaning Myrtle, so that's how I feel bad.
Right, but at least she's bringing awareness to it. Like, again, she's bringing awareness to the author is bringing awareness to the idea of racism and prejudice.
Yes.
And now this potential thing with Moaning Myrtle and how these all interact. I mean, Salazar Slytherin is saying, we want this school to be pure blood. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are heavy topics, and she's introducing them in a relatively light manner.
In a kid's book.
And again, it's just more progression of the characters, and it's an indication of them getting older, as well as the readers of these books getting older. So,
on that note,
that is that.
Okay, you ready for some? Is it different perspective time?
Yes, absolutely. Let's do it. Well, actually, before we get into perspective about this, wanted to remind you guys that, too, also that this episode of the Potterverse was brought to you by Minute with Mary. Mary, tell us a little bit about Minute with Mary before we do the perspective.
Minute with Mary is your one-stop shop for all things beauty and skincare, and I have a bunch of stuff coming up for you in the month of October to help you feel much more confident with your skin. So make sure you're searching the hashtag Minute with Mary. If you're on Facebook, you get to actually join my VIP group. Just search the hashtag Minute with Mary. You'll see my marvelous VIP group right there. I have a lot of fun stuff planned, so please don't miss out. It's completely free. I just love to share the tips with you.
Holy cricket! You're Harry Potter! I'm Hermione Granger. And you are?
I'm Mary. I went last, so you go this time.
I'm Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yes! All right!
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you have to do the voice.
Oh, this poor little pussy got all dead. Oh, and guess what? I could not wait to invite all. Okay, this is the dish, right? This is like Dear Journal, so
All
I
right.
can really dish.
Okay, what do you got?
Okay, so this cat was dead. I don't know why, but we were super close to my office, and I just redecorated. I've watched a lot of that HTV Muggle show thing. Fantastic, if I do say so myself. I just got this new plush throw, and my portress, they didn't get the memo to take the curlers out of their hair, but they soon did. And my books were looking fabulous, and I was just so excited because I think that this cat had the same issue that I wrote about in Magical Me. So, in front of my entire staff, who you know is just dying to have an autograph, let alone a few moments with me alone, they got to come on in, and I was able to inform none other than Professor Dumbledore about how I could have saved this cat.
Oh.
So sad.
Could've
So
been
sad
done
I wasn't
right
there.
away. Right away.
Granted, he seems to think she's petrified, but that's okay too, because if she is in fact petrified, which had I had a moment alone with the cat, maybe I would have figured out that she was petrified as well. But the good thing is that there are mandrakes mandrakes, sorry, on property. So, you know, if I'm able to, I'll figure out the potion. Now, dear diary, you know that potions was my worst subject. So, truth be told, I'm just going to cheat off of Severus Snape and figure out how to make this mandrake potion. Love myself as always. Heart. Gilderoy.
Magical me.
Magical me.
Good job, Mary. Good job. All right, ladies and gents, it is time to go over the emails and all of the questions that we've been getting. So if you are live with us right now, this is the time to go ahead and put a question into the comments with
a lightning bolt emoji
Thank you so much.
to start things off.
And if you are listening to us on the podcast app, thank you for joining us. You are not left out. Send us an email at marianblakemedia@gmail.com with any question or comment that you have, and we will certainly answer it the following episode. Marvin, are you ready?
Always.
Let's do it.
I didn't get a laugh.
Oh, you didn't.
Miles here.
Sorry. I
As
blew
a
that
Snape
one.
fan, you'd think that you would get my always references. Always.
Well, I did last time. I didn't this time. What do you want me to do about it?
It's okay.
All right, so the first email comes from Anne. She says, after listening to Chapter 8 podcast this morning, I had a thought about Harry and Filch's relationship.
Ooh, yeah.
Do you think Harry has a better understanding of Filch after
do.
finding the letter about how a squib can do magic? As Blake said, Filch must not enjoy being at Hogwarts when he can't do magic. Would Harry understand him better because when he is at the Dursleys, he is out of place? And if Filch was with the Dursleys, would he feel at home? It's just a thought, a food for thought, if you will, Mary.
I think it does. Harry, as we've talked about, is a very compassionate person, so I do think it gives him a soft spot. However, as Harry learns, it's about the choices that you make. And one could say that this is a foil to Hagrid. Hagrid, who isn't necessarily like the normal wizarding type, doesn't necessarily get to have the right to do magic, is very different, is ostracized, has another odd job at Hogwarts, and yet Hagrid takes the higher road. Hagrid doesn't pick on the kids. Hagrid seems to have a much more glasses half full disposition. So do I think that Harry will feel a bit bad for Filch? Yes. But Filch makes his bed.
Filch definitely does make his bed, and I think Harry probably has a better appreciation for Filch, though, because Filch has done so much. It's kind of like Snape. Snape has done a lot for Harry, and if you noticed, Harry looks at Snape when they're all gathered around the Chamber of Secrets writing. He says that Snape was holding back, or was it in Lockhart's office? I can't remember. But when they were all together,
Yeah.
and Snape was holding back a smile.
Yeah.
No matter what, Harry still believes Snape did him dirty, even
Yes.
though Snape saved him. And
He doesn't trust Snape.
He doesn't trust Snape. And the same thing, I think, exists with Filch. He may have a better understanding of Filch, but because Filch has done him dirty so many times, and the kids so many times, that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When somebody does you like that too many times, then no, you're out. You're out. All right, the next one comes from Jolene. She said, I discovered you two with Outlander cast and then moved on to Rise Up, which is
Rise Up.
our Hamilton podcast. Go to jointhenerdclan.com to check that out. And, of course, now the Potterverse. I'm a devoted Harry Potter fan and help run an amazing event called The Gospel at Hogwarts each November at our church. It has a unique twist, but traditions such as the Feast in the Great Hall are enjoyed every single year.
My gosh.
She also has degrees as a music teacher, even though I'm not in a classroom right now. So I totally connect with Mary when she nerds out with singing and music topics.
Yay!
Thank you for such an enjoyable content. I just subscribed as a Klansman to access
Thank you.
even more of your antics, and I must say that I also decided to sign up tonight as a proud Hufflepuff.
Yes.
To make sure that we hear Blake sing the Hoggy Hoggy Hogwarts song.
Out of tune.
Out of tune, and wear the Hufflepuff t-shirt. Ladies and gents, Hufflepuffs ain't making it happen. I know we got Jolene here bringing the heat, but Hufflepuffs are, you know what?
Puffs,
They're not letting me
Gryffindors,
down.
Ravenclaws, and Slytherins band together. Go to jointhenerdclan.com for as little as $2 a month, which is less than a cup of coffee. You can make sure that our podcasts keep going and that this jabroni sitting across the table from me has to wear a Hufflepuff shirt and sing Hoggy Hoggy Hogwarts and pretty much say whatever else that you'd like him to say on the podcast.
Well, for the intro, I'm not gonna sit here and
Yeah.
read a script all day, but you know,
if they send in enough, maybe it'll happen. Maybe we could just have you do an entire podcast where you say amazing facts about Hufflepuffs.
I doubt that. I doubt that.
All right, Victoria Larkin says, why do you think the movies chose to dumb Ron down so much?
That's a good question.
I think it's so that he wouldn't necessarily compete for the stardom on screen with Harry Potter.
Right, and also he can't be too smart. Again, in the film, you have to have each of the characters embody certain traits. Hermione is the one. She is the pathos. She thinks, I'm sorry, she's the logos. She thinks.
She's smart.
She uses her brain to figure things out.
What's Ron?
Ron is the pathos. He's the one who acts on emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the one who says, we're going to go do this. And they have to embody those things.
Yeah.
And Harry is the one who synthesizes both. And he makes both work.
Nice.
So I think that's why Ron in the films is dumbed down, because Hermione is the one who uses the brain.
Yeah.
He's the emotional one. He's the one who acts like this.
Brittany K wonders, do you think parents were informed about the first attack? Would you have immediately brought your kids home or trusted the staff to keep them safe? I don't think parents were alerted to the Mrs. Norris attack.
No way. No way. Because that is something I think
That's an animal on the grounds.
that can be handled by themselves.
And they need to vet it out to see, was this a prank? Was this real? What's going on?
Right.
You know, is a school? And also, you would create quite a panic within the parents. So, and this school probably, I don't know how they get paid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they make money from it. But if you don't have children in those seats, you're going to get a lot less funding.
Yep. Rachel says, did a Hufflepuff hurt or break your heart, Blake, at some point?
Seriously.
No. It's just a general disdain of Hufflepuffs.
He just has too much fun.
I have so much fun. All of this is in good fun.
Yeah,
of course
you
I don't
need
hate.
to you need to clarify a bit, Blake. You and I had this discussion.
That's true. All of this is in good fun. I don't hate Hufflepuff. I don't hate Hufflepuffs, but I love to make fun of them.
Blake loves to be a contrarian and
Oh,
to rile
yeah.
people up.
It's my job, man.
It's not your job, but
I am what I
you'd
am.
like to.
Someone's got to be.
So know that he truly does love you, Hufflepuffs, on so many levels.
Well, that's questionable.
No, it's not.
That's
trust me.
questionable.
Most of his friends are Hufflepuffs.
How many people do I really love, Mary? That's the real question.
I think 4.
Yes. That's just about it. 4 people. I
Yes.
can name them off the top of my head right now.
Yes. Me too.
You, my kids, and my best friend.
That's exactly it. And one of those people is a Hufflepuff.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
Is it because Blake hates black and gold? No, I love the Bruins. So, no, it's not that I hate black
I don't
and
think
gold.
Blake has enough appreciation for Hufflepuffs because he hasn't spent enough time with them. So, I think in the books. I don't think he spent enough time with them in the books or in the Fantastic
Yeah, because the only real
series.
significant Hufflepuff is Cedric, and he croaks.
Yeah. And then, you haven't really hung out with Newt Scamander for a little bit.
I'm out on Newt. I'm out.
I think you're just a bully.
I
think because Slytherin gets hated on so much in these books that you just try to pick on the little guy to make yourself feel better.
That may or may not be true.
There we go.
That
Nailed
may
it. You're pretty much Argus Filch.
But Newt is
You're Argus
boring.
Filch. No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Newt is amazing.
Oh my God, he's not even the most interesting character in his film.
Yes, to me he is.
Oh God, no way.
I love him.
Ugh. Newt, I can't wait to get to those films.
Good.
When all this is said and done.
I would
can't
like a bow
wait.
truckle for Christmas, Blake. That'd be a really cool thing, like if I wear blazers to just like have a bow truckle sticking out of a blazer pocket.
Let's see. Tammy asks, what house do you think your children would be in?
Our daughter would be in Slytherin, and she will say that
Absolutely.
she's not left and right,
She is.
but she is.
She totally is.
Right now, as a 5-year-old, she is Slytherin to the core. And our son, we're leaning towards Hufflepuff, but he could be a Gryffindor.
Mm-hmm.
He claims Gryffindor. So if the Sorting Hat were to listen, he would probably be a Gryffindor.
Paula says, do you think Snape told Dumbledore, I told you so, after the bludger incident? I told you he shouldn't play.
No.
I don't
I
think
don't
so
think
either.
Snape's an I told you so kind of guy.
Nope.
I think he just lets that bury into the stuff that he sweeps under the rug that really eats away at his heart.
Yes, and he's passive aggressive about it, probably.
Yeah, and then he goes home and eats ice cream.
Drinks a few beers.
No,
he's a red wine guy.
This is a kid-friendly podcast.
That's true. That's
Okay.
true. Let's see. What
Let's
else we
wrap
got.
it up.
I just want to see if we have any other questions. That's all.
All
That's
right.
That's all I got.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
I just wanted to double check, Marvin.
I know. I've been keeping my eye
We got
on
people. We got people who are live with us, and I want to make sure we don't do them dirty.
I was looking at it. Didn't fash.
Okay, good. All right, you ready to close this bad boy out?
I am.
All right, let's get it done.
Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your night or day to hang out with us and to chat about all things Harry Potter. We truly appreciate it. As I said in the beginning, if you were able to leave us a written review or to share this podcast, it would mean the world to us. And if you are sharing it, please tag us, Mary and Blake Media, so we can see it and we can heart it and just give you a little virtual hug.
So many hugs. Glory here says lots of Ben and Jerry's for
All
Snape.
the Ben and Jerry's for Snape.
What is he? Is he a chocolate chip cookie dough guy or is he a Phish Food guy?
You know, I think he's just a vanilla guy.
No, I bet
Really?
you he's into some weird stuff.
Is he into? Then he's into Phish Food.
Like he's into Phish Food, or he's into that Netflix one with the caramel and the pretzels and the chocolate
He
and the
thinks
vanilla.
it's a potion, but
Yeah.
frozen.
A Froshin.
On that note, my friends, my name's Mary.
Oh, my name is Blake.
Mischief Managed.
Let's do it.
This part of the song just makes my heart soar and cry. 'Cause
So
it's
much
the
crying.
closing. It's the closing song.
I want
of-
Ben and Jerry's now.
Yeah, it's a really bad thing that I started keto. I don't know what else I was talking about today.
What's that?
Tacos.
All right, we're gonna close. All right, bye everybody. Thank you so much.
I'm hungry.
All right, good. That is the end of the podcast. Oh, thank you everybody for watching us live. I really appreciate it.
Seriously, I'm going to tell you guys something. By doing these Harry Potter podcasts, they've been so good for my heart and soul. It's been
Yes.
so fun to be able to revisit this series, but with a community of people. And yeah, I'm really digging it.
Brittany says in an Alan Rickman voice, "Moose tracks."
Yes. Tamara wants to know, do we hear your song yet? The song should be going up.
Well, technically, we lost some patrons. Technically, we lost some, so we aren't at the 500 mark yet. Though we did attain
Okay.
it briefly
for like, what, a minute?
for
And
a
then
night.
people are like, never mind, we don't want to hear Mary's song. Ding, ding, ding. Crazy.
So I think in good faith we should release it
We're
because we
gonna-
did get to it.
Let me get this one up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll get it up for you this weekend.
In good faith, we'll get it up, and we'll get it up there, and
Yeah.
we'll have some fun with it. And we'll release the first one, and then when we hit 500 again, we'll release the second one. How's that sound? Is that
Awesome.
fair?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll do that. Yeah, man, that's it.
All right, guys.
I'm
We're
done.
going to let you go. We're a little cooked. We
Yeah.
had a crazy week of COVID testing the kids. They're
Yep.
fine.
Yep.
But
good.
we are tired. All right, distance learning kicks my butt.
All right.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye,
Have a
guys.
good night.
Thank
Bye.